hello there. Oh, hello there. Are you getting ready for Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah, it means head of the year. Right away, it's a little bit of a pun. And there's actually a really neat Sephardic tradition that we've been adopting more and more that plays on those puns. And it's a Rosh Hashanah Seder. Seder means order, and it has a little bit of fun with symbolic food and playing with the order of the Seder. Let's take a look at some of these ingredients together and see if you would like to try your own Rosh Hashanah Seder to welcome the new year. Boop. Can you get more classic than an apple? How about an apple dipped in honey? Some of the simonim are plays on the actual word or the root of the Hebrew word, and some of the simonim are based on visual puns or visual cues. With tapuchim udvash, with apples and honey, it's a visual cue or a taste cue, actually. These are both incredibly sweet foods, so they are where we get the Shana Tova U'Mituka. May our new year be a sweet new year. This may actually be the oldest of the Rosh Hashanah blessings. You can't beat beets. Beets? Beets. Beets, or the leaves of beets. You don't necessarily think of these as a Seder food. The Hebrew word for beet is selek, which is a word play on the other Hebrew word selek for to depart. So this is a food that allows us to bless the idea of bad things or people departing from our lives. Do you have a date for Rosh Hashanah? Dates, this amazing ancient Israeli food from the 7 species. It's also in our Tu B'Shvat Seder, pretty mystical fruit. The Hebrew word for date is tamar, which apparently has a play tying to the Hebrew word tam, to end, or yitamu, to end. So the idea that you can use dates to wish for the ending of bad things, the ending of suffering, or the ending of an onslaught of enemies. Anything to that effect. What could be more grape? Wine and fruit of the vine and juice have long been associated with Jewish symbols of celebration and joy. The grape is no exception. It has become over time associated with joy and siman tov and positive things. So having it as part of your Rosh Hashanah Seder or some of your dishes or drinks means that you are blessing that joy into your new year. So it's more of a long-standing association, simonim. Okay, it may seem fishy, but let's get ahead of this year. Fish head. So here I have a fish head, or the rosh of a dug in Hebrew. Traditionally, this wasn't supposed to be a fish head, rather a sheep's head or a ram's head, to symbolize the sacrifice that saved Isaac's life in the Akedah, the binding of Isaac story that we read on Rosh Hashanah. Baghdadi Jews started using a fish instead because of the wordplay da'aga, which sounds like dug. Da'aga means worry and dag means fish. So eating the head of the animal meant that you were getting ahead of your worry or getting the leadership rather than the struggle of the tail. So pretty literal play on words here. There is a vegetarian option, and I'll talk about that right now. Fish can freak people out. You are allowed to do a cabbage instead. Cabbages are fine. It's a head of cabbage, you see, rosh. So at this point, you're probably asking yourself, what is a Rosh Hashanah Seder? What's the point? I have a Passover Seder back in Nisan, and all the symbolic foods on my Seder plate are there to tell me a story about the going out of Mitzrayim. Morjani did like a whole video about it. It was a thing. There was like Sephardic Seder plates on heads and a whole to-do. If you haven't seen it, it's in the doobly-doob. Okay, Rosh Hashanah Seder is a little bit different. It still takes the concept of Seder, order, structure, and it pulls from this tract of Talmud where a rabbi named Abai says that you should honor the new year with food that represents good omens. And then he lists a whole ton of stuff from pumpkins to leeks, gourds, all sorts of interesting foods. Point being that everything you ate represented something called a simonim, which was kind of a play on words. And there's two ways you can look at it. There's serious ways you can look at it where you bless each food, cook with each food, and there's beautiful prayers that can go with it that are meant to welcome in the new year in the most positive way possible. So rather than telling a story like with Passover, we can't predict the future. So instead, we're just trying to give it the best possible blessings. The other way you can do it is a little bit silly. You know, have an orange and go, aren't you glad it's the new year? So there's lots of fun ways to do it. If you don't want to get overly spiritual, you can have this alternative over here, which is just a fun way to have a beautiful big meal full of specific foods to welcome the new year. Lots of ways to approach it.
And there you have it. These are the basics for what to serve at your own Rosh Hashanah Seder. And really, this is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can include pomegranates for the 613 mitzvot, and there are simonim about spinach and pumpkin and so much more. Truly, let this video be a place for you to start your journey. And Or HaNeshama, this channel, has a Seder booklet to help you continue creating your Seder. I'll include information in the description box below. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this video. L'shana tova u'metuka. May your new year be a sweet new year. And until next time, lihitraot.
L'shana tova, l'shana tova. Tikatevu v'tichatemu. L'shana tova, l'shana tova. Tikatevu v'tichatemu.